We are live from Petco Park on this Monday night as the Padres fall to the San Francisco Giants in this series opener by a final score of 4-3. Padres have now lost 4 in a row as they drop to 69-56 on the season. Giants improved to 61-64. Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we wrap this one up. Hey, player, the all-new Jamul Casino Resort is now open with a Lux Hotel Tower, rooftop pool, spa, and a long list of amazing amenities. You'll have more ways to play and enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Final totals here tonight for the Giants: 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors. For the Padres, 3 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Mike Shildt. We have all the radio highlights for you, full game recap coming your way, and much, much more. There were a few different issues in this game, and let's start with the top half of the first inning, because I'll tell you what, when it's all said and done, this was a weird game. But unfortunately, the early problem was the same problem we've seen the Padres have the last 3 days, and that was giving up big first innings. You think about the way Saturday and Sunday went in L.A. Dodgers scored 3 runs, took a 3-0 lead in the first inning on Saturday. On Sunday, they scored 4 runs in the first inning, took a 4-0 lead. Then today, Nestor Cortes gives up back-to-back home runs to Elliot Ramos and Rafael Devers. Just like that, the Padres down 2-0. And then a few batters later, Wilmer Flores hits a home run. And within a span of 5 batters, the Padres trailed 4-0 in this game. So that is a reoccurring issue for the Padres, where they are just falling behind really, really early in these games. Now, the good news after that was Nestor Cortes settled down in a big way, and actually the final line was not terrible. 5 2/3 innings, 4 runs given up. The bullpen did a really great job keeping that run total for San Francisco at 4. I mean, it was kind of amazing. They scored 4 runs in the first 5 batters and then never scored again. But the issue here today was the first 6 innings against Robbie Ray. Padres had 1 single. They had nothing going against Ray. Then, to their credit, they got it going in the 7th inning. The double by Bogaerts. They took advantage of the fielding and then throwing error by Schmidt at third to score the game's first run. And then Ryan O'Hearn, it was interesting, pinch hit for Jake Cronenworth. And this is a lefty-on-lefty spot. Ray's still on the mound. Pinch hit for Cronenworth with Iglesias on base, and O'Hearn hits a pinch hit 2-run home run to make it a 1-run game. That was a huge moment for O'Hearn. A lot of talk today here on this station, about O'Hearn and not playing against lefties. We heard Mike Shildt asked about it before the game, and then the Padres pinch hit with him lefty on lefty for a left-handed batter in Cronenworth, and O'Hearn. It was a great move. O'Hearn hits it out, and you've got a 1-run game. But then the Padres can't find a way to score in the 8th inning despite getting the leadoff man on, and they had the tying run on base, winning run at the plate in O'Hearn in the bottom half of the 9th inning, and could not find a way to get that elusive game-tying run, so they fall in this game 4-3. So really the 2 issues in this game you look at, they came early and late. The early issue, the Padres fell behind again, and we've talked about it before. This bullpen is so good. They've got so many high-octane arms in that pen, but you're not going to be able to utilize them the way you want if you're trailing by 3-4 runs this early in games. The other issue was that, the offense tonight for the Padres came in a flurry. It came on a double, then an error, then a home run, and that was about it. So really offensively, aside from a span of a handful of batters in the 7th inning, they just did not have much going, and they could not find enough offense to ultimately overcome the 4 early runs scored in this game by San Francisco. So that's the way it went tonight. We'll continue to break it down. Full game recap coming your way. We'll hear from Mike Shildt. Again, the final score on this Monday: Padres unfortunately lose a 4th in a row. The Giants 4 and the Padres 3. Our post-game coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue to wrap this one up. Final score here tonight, the Giants 4 and the Padres 3. We'll hear from Mike Shildt in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Now, in the opening segment, you heard me talk about this game, and I did omit, not purposely, but I did omit one very, very key moment in this game, and it had to do with a crew chief initiated replay review and the replay room in New York, in my opinion, making a bad call here. And we're going to get into it during the game recap. However, the version of the game I gave you in the opening segment was basically the version you would get if you looked at the box score tonight. If you looked at the box score tonight, it's kind of what you would get. However, you do have to consider, obviously, what happened in the second inning with the Xander Bogaerts home run turned into not home run. We'll get into it here in a second. But again, and I'll just go back to what I said in the opening segment, aside from a single and what ended up being a fly out from Bogaerts, the Padres did not have very much going at all offensively against Robbie Ray. So that still does ring true. But I did not really get into what happened in the second inning. Certainly, if the rest of the game had played out the exact same way, hey, it's a 4-4 game when O'Hearn hits that home run, not a 4-3 game. We understand that. But in reality, and the way it went and the way it will go down in the books tonight is, the Padres did not have a home run in that spot, and ultimately they lost this game by a single run. So let's recap this game from start to finish and also talk about what happened in the second.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
As we alluded to earlier, for a third straight day, the first inning was very unkind to the Padres. Nestor Cortes took the mound. Elliot Ramos led off for San Francisco.
Gone bad. Ramos sends this one in the air to deep left field, though. Laureano is at the wall, leaps up, it's going to go. A leadoff homer for Elliot Ramos. And the Giants take a 1-0 lead on the fourth pitch of the game.
It was not 1-0 for long. Next up, Rafael Devers.
1-1 pitch. Flores in the air to deep left field. Laureano is back. He's at the wall again. This one gonna go. Wilmer Flores. Third home run in the first inning for the Giants. This one a 2-run shot, and it is 4-0.
All right, so we went a little bit ahead there. Rafael Devers hit a home run back-to-back with Ramos to make it 2-0. And then after that, there was a ground out, a double, and then a 2-run home run by Wilmer Flores to make it 4-0. So in the span of 5 batters, the Giants had a 4-0 lead, 3 home runs, the solo shot by Ramos to start the game, and then Devers went back-to-back, and then a 2-run home run by Wilmer Flores made it a 5-0 game, or excuse me, a 4-0 game at the end of a half inning. So that was the very rough first inning once again for the Padres and specifically Nestor Cortes here tonight. Fast forward to the bottom half of the second. Padres still down 4-0. Xander Bogaerts led off and hit a deep fly ball to left. The left fielder Ramos went back to the wall, reached up, the ball hit his glove and went over the fence. It was ruled a home run on the field, but then there was a crew chief initiated replay review, and on review in New York, they ruled that fans had reached out and committed fan interference, getting in the way of Ramos cleanly catching that ball. Again, it hit his mitt and then bounced over the fence. And let me just remind you, again, in order to overturn a call, there has to be clear and convincing evidence. It should be decisive. And the replay room said there was enough to call for fan interference with the two fans reaching out above Ramos. Little unclear. Were they reaching towards the field of play? Were they still on their side of the fence? All I know is that, to me, it didn't seem clear and convincing that you could overturn the call on the field in that spot, but they did in New York, and instead of a home run for Xander Bogaerts in a 4-1 game, it was a flyout for Xander Bogaerts in a 4-0 game. So that was certainly a big moment, a big call in this game. The Padres did not score in the bottom half of the second. From that point, the game got really quiet in both a good and a bad way. The good way, Nestor Cortez pitched into the sixth inning. He allowed just a few more singles after the rough first inning. David Morgan finished the sixth inning and threw a scoreless seventh. The bad way got quiet. Well, the Padres just were not doing anything against Robbie Ray. They got a Manny Machado 2-out single in the first inning. They still had just that one single going into the bottom half of the seventh inning. They trailed 4-0. However, in the bottom half of the seventh, Xander Bogaerts hit a 1-out double against Ray. Jose Iglesias was next.
Call to strike the pitch. And Iglesias grounds it to the left side. Schmidt gobbles it up, drops it, picks it up, throws to first, not in time, and the throw gets away into the stands, and Bogaerts will come in to score.
So the throwing error, in fact, there were two errors on that play on Schmidt, a fielding error and a throwing error. Iglesias went to second base. Bogaerts scored. It was a 4-1 game. With 2 outs and Iglesias still on base, the Padres pinch hit for Jake Cronenworth. It was the left-handed hitter for left-handed hitter as Ryan O'Hearn dug in against the left-hander Robbie Ray.
O'Hearn facing Robbie Ray for the first time. A 1 pitch, swung on, hit in the air to deep center field. Lee's going back. He's at the wall. He's going to watch. Hit's going to go! Ryan O'Hearn, a 2-run pinch hit homer, and a 1-run game in the bottom of the seventh.
What a weapon to have come off the bench in a big spot.
What a moment for Ryan O'Hearn, but the Padres still trailed by 1 at the end of 7. Wandy Peralta pitched the scoreless top of the 8th inning. Ryan Walker was on the mound for the Giants in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Luis Ariz hit a leadoff single, but then Manny Machado struck out. Ramon Laureano hit into an inning-ending double play. Mason Miller threw a scoreless top of the 9th inning, so that brought us to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Padres down by a run 4-3. Randy Rodriguez came in. Xander Bogaerts grounded out. Jose Iglesias put together a really, really tough at-bat, a 9-pitch AB. It resulted in a 1-out single. So the Padres had the tying run on base, the winning run at the plate. Freddie Fermin popped out on the infield. The game was left up to the guy who hit the home run to make it a 1-run game. That was Ryan O'Hearn.
Trying to keep this game going or end it with one swing. The 3-2 in the air to left field, not deep. Ramos comes in. He will make the catch, and the ball game is over. And a weird night at Petco comes to a close with the Giants hanging on for a 4-3 win in Game 1 of this 4-game series.
And that was that here tonight. Padres fell behind 4-0 after a half inning. They would score 3 runs in a flurry in the bottom half of the 7th inning, but unfortunately that was all the scoring here tonight as the Giants hang on to win it by a final of 4-3. 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for the Giants, 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Padres. Padres dropped to 69-56. Giants improved to 61-64. Robbie Ray, the winner, he's now 10-6. Losing pitcher Nestor Cortez, who is now 1-2, and the save goes to Randy Rodriguez, his 4th of the season. Dodgers lost tonight in walk-off fashion in Colorado. Rockies beat them on a walk-off base hit. We'll talk more about that later. So with that, I suppose the only silver lining of tonight is the Padres remain 2 games behind LA for first place in the NL West. They did not lose ground because the Dodgers lost in Colorado tonight. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Again, the final here tonight, Giants 4, Padres 3. Our postgame coverage continues after this. Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park on this Monday night. As we continue to wrap this one up, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up and a little bit our daily awards. If you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call. The West Divisional Showdown against San Francisco is presented by Palomar Health. Reimagining healthcare. Tough one here tonight for the Padres. Again, the recap is quite honestly pretty quick. The Giants scored 4 runs in a span of 5 batters on 3 home runs against Nestor Cortes in the first inning. Robbie Ray threw 6 scoreless innings to keep it 4-0. Of course, there was that very weird moment in the second where Xander Bogaerts hit a home run, and then on review, New York said it was not a home run. They ruled fan interference in left field. I still don't understand how they could come to that conclusion, but for the moment, that's neither here nor there. It was a 4-0 game going to the 7th inning. Padres got a run to make it 4-1. Then Ryan O'Hearn pinch hit for Jake Cronenworth. Lefty for a lefty against the lefty, and Robbie Ray hit a 2-run home run, pinch hit 2-run home run to make it 4-3. But the Padres could not find a way to get that elusive 4th run, and they fall by that final score 4-3. So again, the runs in this game, 4 in the first inning for the Giants, 3 in the 7th inning for the Padres, and that was it here tonight. Let's go downstairs and hear from the Padre manager.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Mike, obviously, Nestor had trouble in that first inning, but he came back and was, really effective the rest of the way. Was there a specific adjustment or something that he did coming back after that? Or
I think, it got more off speed. The changeup was good. I thought he pitched great. He really did. After the first inning, they ambushed him for 3 homers, and he could easily fold his tent. And, he had first and second, nobody out in the second inning, and left him out there. And real veteran guy that, again, gave us a chance, and the bullpen kept it right there. Fantastic. It was 3 days in a row with crooked numbers early, and we have not been able to scratch and claw our way out of it, even though we're fighting like crazy.
With regards to the home run call reversal and everything, was it a case of the fan going over the wall and presumably interfering with the fielder's ability to make the catch? Because it didn't look like there was contact with the ball. Is there any
no contact? It's a big run. It's huge. It's just, listen, I don't balk at the league a whole lot. Umpires have hard jobs. You get thrown out, you're arguing with New York. We know but the definition that we got from a replay was it was clear that there was some impediment that took place. Clearly, he didn't touch the baseball. With the angle of the ball coming and where it went and where it landed, there was not anybody who was impeding with him. And if it's so clear, how come it takes 2 minutes and 40 seconds to figure it out? If it's that clear, why are we sitting there for 2 minutes and 40 seconds? We have, 15 seconds to review a call in the first place. We got 2 minutes and 40 seconds to sit there. What are you looking for? If it's that clear, then overturn it early. If it's not, then it's a home run. And so, we call our replay guys and they're like, how you feeling about it? 0 chance. Well, but listen, that's just really disappointing that we go that long and have to come up with a conclusion that's not conclusive to overturn a home run that ends up costing us an opportunity to win a baseball game.
Ryan O'Hearn, how impressive has he been so far?
It's been tremendous. The offense, Ray was good. He, a lot of movement, throwing the way we wanted to. Secondary was good, but O'Hearn comes in and, we'll check in on Crony, see how he's doing, but big pinch hit, 2-run homer, obviously. And, Sheets another good at bat, Bogey, multiple good at bats, Iglesias. What a fight, to be able to do that in the ninth, and a lot of good things, just not good enough.
You made reference to Jake. Is there any update on how?
I have not heard. No.
Mike, I wanted to be clear. Did you get feedback from Hoy or the league that it didn't touch him, or was that you saying it didn't touch him? Did they say that it did not make contact, but he
James
impeded?
did not make that.
Right.
I mean, I had a lot of time on my hands. And if you can find an angle where that fan touched the baseball, I'd like to see it.
Okay.
No, it was clearly, it was the description from the league was that it was clear that the fielder was impeded to make a play. The spectator does not have to touch the baseball. So we understand that. But based on the angle and where the guy was, he was elevated above the fence. The ball was hit with a ton of loft on it. It's coming right down here. There was no clear evidence that that fan impeded his ability to make a play, created a difference in how he moved and his actions, went over the fence. None of it was clear. But somehow in the explanation, it was clear after 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Well, I'd like to see an angle that makes it clear because I've yet to see it, and I just had 8 innings to watch it. And we lost by a run.
I know that you've liked what Ryan has done, all of his numbers. Is this the kind of thing that could earn him maybe a look against lefties, quality at bats like that against a lefty?
Yeah, I mean, he's played against lefties. We stayed and kept him in a game in Arizona against a lefty and a homer. So, I mean, I don't know how else to answer your question. He's getting a lot of opportunities in at bat. So we have other guys that are doing it too. So, I mean, he's getting a lot of at bat. I don't know what else to say. He's basically an everyday guy that other guys play occasionally too.
To go back to the ejection, were you coming out to argue the call, or were you coming out to get clarification?
Yeah,
were you okay with
came
the
out
ejection?
Just disbelief, right? I mean, and James, who I like a lot. James is great and, a good umpire, been in the league a long time. And like I said, you're arguing with basically New York. And he's like, Mike, you could have waited till in between innings. I said, you tell 45,000 people in my dugout that, I mean, at that point, it's like, egregious because I'm sitting there watching the whole thing myself. And when you're waiting that long, it's like you're looking for something. And so, and I know the rule and I don't want to get ejected out of a game, but also need to make a point when a point needs to be made.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 4-3 loss for the Padres against the Giants here tonight. Padres lose a fourth consecutive game as they drop this series opener. Sam Levitt back with you inside the lofts here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. I'll get to the replay in a moment because I'm totally with Mike Shildt there, and obviously he was not very happy about it, and he shouldn't be. I do want to just touch on O'Hearn for a second. That was a huge moment for O'Hearn, and that's a tough spot. Lefty on lefty, first time he'd ever seen Robbie Ray. And you know what? I should have given a little bit more context to the pinch hit for Cronenworth because he was hit by a pitch in the right elbow in his prior at bat. Now, Cronenworth did stay in the game after that and play the field for a couple of innings, but he was pinch hit for by O'Hearn. So I again, it was a bit of an interesting spot to see O'Hearn, lefty on lefty pinch hitting for Cronenworth. And now that, we heard the post game there and heard the question about Cronenworth, it does make some sense that probably played into actually why O'Hearn was pinch hitting there because Cronenworth got hit earlier in the game. Although it kind of slipped my mind at the time because Cronenworth had stayed in for defense, but we'll see what the update is on Jake. Hopefully he's okay. Look, the Padres are not going to face another left-handed starter in this series, so there's not going to be an opportunity to get O'Hearn in there against the lefty. I'm sure he will start. I don't know how many games the rest of this series. I'm sure he'll start some, whether it be 1, 2, or all of them. We'll see. But bottom line is this with O'Hearn. He's had a really good season, and he's now had a couple of really big home runs. He had that game-tying home run in Arizona that allowed the Padres to come back and win that game. He had that big home run tonight that, got him within a run. They couldn't find a way to tie it up. But look, I think he brings a lot, and he's got some real power and some real pop, and the Padres could certainly use that. We talked about it pregame today. Padres entered the day 105 home runs in the season. That's the second lowest number in the major leagues. And, look, O'Hearn does give you a lot of pop. In the lineup. So we'll see how it all plays out. I know that was a big topic today here on this station. And wouldn't you know it, he hits home run against the lefty in this game. On the replay, look, I'm with Mike. I just don't understand how you can say that definitively Ramos was impeded. To me, there was not clear and convincing and definite evidence that those fans impeded Ramos from catching the ball. Not that they touched it, not that they were necessarily leaning over above Ramos. Again, let's get back to what the original essence of replay is supposed to be in this game. The call on the field was home run. There was no call of spectator interference on the field. When you're going to overturn a call, the replay room in New York is saying they have definitive, clear, convincing evidence that there is no question that this is the correct overturned call. I just don't know how you can get there. It took them a while to get to that. I think it's a good point by Mike. If it takes you almost 3 minutes to get to that conclusion, is it really clear? And I'll be honest with you, as we were, sitting there waiting for the review, as it got longer and longer, I thought to myself, they're going to overturn this. I really did. I thought as it got longer and longer, I said, this is taking too long. But again, you may disagree out there. Maybe you've seen an angle, or you think it was redirected or by the fan's arm, or you think they were hovering over Ramos, impeded his ability to successfully complete that catch. I just don't see it that way. To me, and I say this about pretty much all replays. Look, the point, and we've got so far away from the point of replay in a number of different ways. The point of replay is to have clear, convincing, and definite evidence that the call on the field should be overturned. If not, then it stands. If not, then it stands. And I just could not get there with that. And look, again, who knows how the rest of this game plays out, but this is the reality. The Padres lost by a run, and they had a run taken off the board. On the field, it was a home run, and the replay room in New York took the run off the board, and they lost by 1. So I think Mike Shildt has every right to be upset about that. I understood why he got thrown out. Again, I go to the call on the field, and the purpose of this is supposed to be where you have clear, convincing, definite evidence that the call on the field should be overturned. And I don't know how you could get there with what we saw, at least on the TV replays and the replays here at the ballpark. That's my opinion. You might disagree out there. I don't think many of you do disagree out there, but I couldn't get there with it. Mike Shildt couldn't get there with it. I'm sure the Padres dugout couldn't get there with it. As you heard him say there, the Padres replay room couldn't get there with it. The broadcast, both radio and TV, I went back and listened to all of it. They couldn't get there with it. To me, there was not clear evidence of Ramos being impeded in catching that ball. To me, there was not clear evidence that the fans caused Ramos to have that ball hit his mitt. It was very catchable, hit his mitt, and pop out and bounce over the fence. To me, there was not. So we'll leave it at that. You might want to voice your opinion on the phones, 833-288-0973. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll get into our daily awards. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later as well. Final score, Giants 4 and the Padres 3. Our postgame coverage continues after this. Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Final score, Giants 4 and the Padres 3. As the Padres, unfortunately, have now lost 4 in a row. They dropped this series opener to San Francisco. I suppose the good news, 3 more games against the Giants to turn this series around, then 3 games against LA Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll talk more about tomorrow's game coming up in just a little bit. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the all-new Jamul Casino Resort is all for you with a luxe hotel, a relaxing spa, a rooftop pool. This is the place to enjoy all the perks of your casino fun. The all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place, now open. Again, the final here tonight, Giants 4 and the Padres 3. We will get to some of your phone calls here in just a minute or two. So stay with us for the time being. We'll get to your phone calls here in a second. First, let's tell you about tonight's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, presented by David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys. When your freedom and future are on the line, you need the best arm in the pen. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com.
And a swing and a miss, strike 3. Nice job by David Morgan getting outs in multiple innings once again here tonight.
Yeah, beautifully described by Jesse there. David Morgan, really, really nice job again. He went an inning and a third tonight. No runs given up, 19 pitches, did walk 1, struck out 3. Really good work once again. He's been so good as a rookie by David Morgan. Continues to have a sub-2 ERA. Look, the bullpen did a good job tonight. And quite frankly, the bullpen, which we know has been great, they have not been the problem in this 4-game losing streak. They did a good job tonight. Again, Morgan got 4 outs. Peralta, who's been great, scoreless 8th inning. Mason Miller, scoreless top of the 9th inning to give the Padres an opportunity to come back, tie this game, and win it. But Padres could not find that elusive tying run. Morgan, by the way, spoke to him earlier today, one-on-one for our pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network, our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. And if you missed that, you can always go back and listen to pretty much all of our exclusive pregame interviews on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also go back always on YouTube and catch any of that stuff there as well. So the YouTube channel, by the way, the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. So good conversation today with David, and he continued his terrific work with an inning and a third scoreless here tonight. He is our relief pitcher of the game. All right, let's squeeze in a few phone calls here before we continue on. Let's go to Don in Rancho Bernardo. Hi, Don. You lead us off tonight on our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you. How you doing tonight, Sammy?
I'm doing well, Don.
Good. Well, victory is always nicer, but just a couple of thoughts here. I'm glad they fought back. You know, that's 2 games in a row now where they could have folded up and they didn't. So that's a good silver lining to these 2 losses in a row here. Being down so early, you know, that makes it especially welcome that they were able to fight back. But I did want to say something about the comment on something I don't normally comment on. And that's kind of the managerial decision not to start O'Hearn. And I really think that we're missing out on a great bat. He's a solid defender. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that. I know he was asked about it today, but there weren't really any statistics backing up why he'd be better than Arise or the center fielder that started tonight. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on that, Sammy. Thanks so much.
Yeah, look, Donna, and appreciate the phone call. I know this has been a big topic the last couple of days. Look, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly, what the reasoning is. Clearly, they have, a plan that they're executing as far as what they want out there against the lefty, what they want defensively. Clearly they value, and it's no, I'm not telling you any breaking news here. They clearly value Luis Arise. I'm not going to pretend to know exactly, what all the reasonings are. What I will tell you is this, from my perspective, what O'Hearn does give you, he has hit lefties pretty well this year. I mean, entering today an 812 OPS against lefties, only one home run out of the 14 he had so far this season against lefties. But he's for just context, 812 OPS against lefties, 820 OPS against righties. He's almost hit lefties from an OPS standpoint and an average standpoint and a slug standpoint. The numbers are very, very similar but between righties and lefties for O'Hearn. Look, what I like about what O'Hearn gives them, forget righty lefty. Okay, what I like about it is he gives them just more power in this lineup. We talked about it earlier today. I mean, the Padres, one of I think the concerns that is fair to have about them, just in the big picture of who they are, is they don't hit a ton of home runs. Okay, and that's, I mean, they've hit entering today 105 home runs. That's second least in the major leagues. And when I think about the playoffs and, home runs are important that time of year, and they're important in general. And look, the Padres still, after today, they're 13 games above 500. They're comfortably in a playoff spot. They got to keep playing well. So it's not like the lack of home runs have done them in, but it would be nice to have more power and more slug. And I do think O'Hearn just gives that to them. And I do wonder, now that he's had 2 home runs against lefties in the short time in San Diego, if there is an inclination to just get him in the lineup every day. We'll see. He definitely gives them pop and a home run threat, more of a home run threat when he comes up. Let's go to Kelly in San Diego. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Sammy. So if you need to table this, because now it's kind of, I don't want to lose the flow of what you guys are talking about, but just real quick, on the home run, is there any precedent? Because from what we saw in the stadium, it was a Giants fan. So does that mean that any Dodger can come in, and if he doesn't want us to get a home run, he just sticks his arm out? So isn't New York making a huge bad precedent? And did anybody, because I haven't heard anyone mention the fact that it was a Giants fan.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'll let you talk up there.
Yeah, Kelly, there was definitely a guy in a Giant shirt to the right, although I thought the guy that was more involved in it was actually the guy, I thought he had a Padres cap on. It was hard to tell. There was definitely a Giant fan to the right. Kelly, it's a good question. I don't think the replay room in New York, I don't think they're focusing on the gear the fans have. I mean, that doesn't really factor in, but it's an interesting point. Like, if you were a Giants fan and you were super in the moment and realizing what was happening, and I think that's kind of hard to do when you have a ball coming your way, but if you were super, super in the moment and strategic, could a visiting fan interfere? And then hopefully on a replay review, they overturn it. I guess I don't think they focus on the fandom that the interfering fans have. So it was weird. Again, I just go back to, and I said it earlier, that the definite and clear and convincing evidence, and I just don't know how, after looking at the replays there, that you could get to that. And that's just what I come back to. Forget about everything else. To me, the point of replay is to overturn calls where you have that level of clarity and confidence and certainty. And I don't know how in that spot they can get there. I didn't agree with it. Let's go to Charles Ramona. Hi, Charles. You're on the Padres Radio Network with Sam Levitt. Welcome in.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. That call, I'm fuming still. I know there's a lot of people saying that it was the right call in the chat, and I don't see it. There was show me the angle. If there's conclusive evidence, they need to show the angle, because this was a one-run game, and that made all of the difference. But also, Tatis today, he's time and time again, he keeps not showing up in big games or at all. And I don't know what it's going to take, but I really think it's time for Mike to switch up the lineup, put Laureano in the leadoff, and move Tatis down, because even when that's on Tatis swinging on the first pitch, grounding that right to someone
Mm-hmm.
when we were on a roll.
Mm-hmm.
And
Charles,
I've seen that happen a lot, and something's got to be done about it.
Charles, appreciate the phone call. Look, I don't anticipate they're going to move him down. I don't. He had a tough day. He was 0 for 4, and obviously came out up in that big spot in the 7th that you're referring to, with the tying run on base, swung at the first pitch, grounded out. Look, I think with Fernando, it's been such a fascinating year for him. You know, the hot start. You know, then he goes through just a massive slump, and then he comes out of it, and now, you know, he's in this really interesting spot where he's getting on base. The on base percentage is actually really, really good as of late. He's walking more than ever. But then you look at the other side of it, and he doesn't have a home run, and now more than 100 plate appearances, longest stretch of his career without a home run, and it's now a span of 21 games without a home run. And look, the on-base stuff is great. You know, I still feel like, you know, the best version of Fernando is when he's hitting the ball over the fence. You know, I would take more home runs and less on base, right? Even from that leadoff spot, but I don't anticipate they're going to move him down. But do I think the best version of Fernando in the Padres is with him slugging more and being more like the guy we saw in the postseason last year and in the very early part of this season? I do. You know, I hope he can get back there before the end of this season. It's been a really interesting year because there are good things he's doing that are just different than what he typically does well. And then there have just been long stretches where he's just not hitting for power. And he talked yesterday after the game about just not hitting the ball in the air. And tonight he hit the ball in the air once. He grounded out 3 other times. You know, look, I think the best version of the Padres is with him in the leadoff spot and doing what he can do. You know, from a power run producing standpoint, the ability to change the game with one swing, the ability to give you a 1-0 lead in the very first at bat of the game. So hopefully he can get back there. But look, you know, longest stretch in his career without a home run now, 100+ plate appearances. So we'll see when that elusive home run comes for him. Let's squeeze in one more here, then we'll continue on. Let's go to El Cajon. It's Larry. Hi, Larry. You're on the Padres Radio Network.
I mean, I agree. That call was just unbelievable. I couldn't see any fan interference. And one of the things I've noticed with both Manny and Fernando is they tend to swing at that first pitch. I know they're aggressive hitters. How do you get them to be a little more disciplined?
You know, Larry, appreciate the phone call. You know, the swinging at the first pitch stuff is always interesting to me. You know, we've had this conversation in regards to Manny a couple of times over the last few years. Look, I don't mind. Like, here's the way I look at it. Like, you can get on Fernando in the 7th inning for swinging at the first pitch, I guess. You know, but meanwhile, if he hits that first pitch 430 feet over the left field fence, then I feel like people then say, you know, and look at it and say, yeah, you know, hey, he attacked the first pitch. I mean, you know, sometimes guys are looking for something on that first pitch. They get it and they want to fire. And sometimes that is the right approach. Sometimes you do have an aggressive approach. You know, look, from Fernando's standpoint, he has been as patient as he's been in his career this year. It's part of the reason why it's been such kind of a weird season where there is good on-base stuff. There is good walk stuff, but he's not hitting for slug and power and OPS like he has in the past. You know, so to be honest with you, Larry, from Fernando's perspective, for the most part, he's been a more patient hitter. You know, Manny can be patient. He also can be ready to fire on the first pitch, and it's worked out at times too. To be honest with you, I don't get crazy about guys swinging at the first pitch. Are there times in a game where it makes sense to be more patient? Of course. But you know, I don't pretend to be the hitting guru here and, you know, get on guys for swinging at the first pitch. Sometimes that's the pitch to swing at in an at-bat, and we tend to really applaud guys when they do it and it's successful. It's kind of like anything, right? And then, you know, if they look at a first pitch fastball down the middle and then they, you know, strike out, well, they're saying, well, why did they take that first pitch fastball right down the middle, right? What are they waiting for? Be more aggressive. So I don't mind. I really don't. That's my perspective. I don't mind guys swinging at the first pitch. Are there times that call to be more patient? Yes. But in Fernando and Manny's case, I trust them enough as hitters to make that decision. I do. So to be honest with you, I don't have a major issue with it. I don't. Let's continue our daily awards here. Let's tell you about today's catch of the game.
Which defensive play had the biggest impact on today's game?
He is at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch.
This is the catch of the game.
Gonna hang a star for Jackson Merrill.
Reeled in by Anthony's Fish Grotto La Mesa, celebrating 80 years of seafood excellence.
Our catch of the game, we'll tell you about it here today. There was nothing particularly flashy about it. Now, I could get really kind of really salty here and tell you the catch of the game was Ramos, quote unquote, catching the ball after the replay, because in the box score it went down as just a fly out to left. So that would be the salty answer. I won't get that salty. You know what I thought was a really good play tonight defensively, actually? 8th inning, Padres down a run, Laureano at the plate, Arise on first base. There was it wasn't a slow roller to Adames at short, but it was not hit particularly hard by Laureano. And I thought Adames, DeCoste, the Devers, 6-4-3 double play, I thought they did a great job turning that double play and getting Laureano by a step. Laureano runs pretty well. Really nicely turned. And to me, that was a really, really big play in this game. Got Ryan Walker through that 8th inning with the Giants up by 1. So for that reason, we'll circle that 6-4-3 double play in the 8th inning and call it tonight's catch of the game. Now let's tell you about the Padres' heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the Heart of the Order, presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Part of the order here tonight, the 3-4-5 spots, Manny, Laureano, Bogarts. They went a combined 2 for 12. Manny had a single. He struck out 3 times. Laureano, rare 0 for him. He was 0 for 4 with the strikeouts. Xander Bogarts did have the 1-out double in the 7th inning. That did start that 3-run rally, scored a run. So again, Manny 1 for 4, Laureano 0 for 4, Bogarts 1 for 4, a combined 2 for 12 with a run scored and a double for Manny Machado, Ramon Laureano, Xander Bogarts, the heart of the Padres order here tonight. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have our play of the game. We'll get you ready for tomorrow. Again, the final here tonight in this series opener, Giants 4 and the Padres 3. Our post-game coverage from Petco Park continues after these words. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, the Giants 4 and the Padres 3. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Earlier today at Wrigley Field in Chicago, Brewers blanked the Cubs 7-0. Freddie Peralta, 6 scoreless innings in that game for Milwaukee as he picks up his 15th win of the season. That was actually game 1 of a scheduled doubleheader, but game 2 was rained out in Chicago, so they will now play a doubleheader tomorrow at Wrigley Field. Tigers beat the Astros 10-0 in Detroit. The Cardinals beat the Marlins 8-3 in Miami. Pirates beat the Blue Jays 5-2 in Pittsburgh. Paul Skeens went 6 innings, 2 runs given up in that game. Phillies beat the Mariners 12-7 in Philadelphia. Bryce Harper, 2 home runs in that game for the Phillies. Orioles beat the Red Sox 6-3 in Boston tonight at Fenway. Gunnar Henderson, a home run in that game for the Orioles. White Sox beat the Braves 13-9. Royals beat the Rangers 4-3. The Rockies trailed the Dodgers late. They tied it in the late innings. And then some heroics for the Rocks in the 9th.
0-1 pitch. Bounced up the middle. Into center field. Tovar rounds third. He scores! Warming Bernabel, his first walk-off hit as a big leaguer. And the Rockies make it 4 in a row.
How about the Rocks? Thank you, Rockies. A walk-off winner, walk-off base hit for rookie Warming Bernabel. That call from Rockies Radio. Rockies win it 4-3. They end a 10-game losing streak to the LA Dodgers. And thank you very much, Rockies. The Padres remain 2 games out of first place in the National League West. Reds beat the Angels 4-1 in Anaheim. Gavin Lux, an early home run in that game. Guardians beat the Diamondbacks 3-1 in Arizona. And that for you is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday evening. Final score here at Petco Park. Giants 4, Padres 3. Let's hear tonight's play of the game.
The line between winning and losing can be razor thin. Which play was the difference between victory and defeat? This is today's play of the game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
1-1 pitch. Flores in the air to deep left field. Laureano is back. He's at the wall again. This one gonna go. Wilmer Flores. 3rd home run in the first inning for the Giants. This one a 2-run shot, and it is 4-0.
Well, not what we wanted to be play of the game here tonight, but just one of those nights where it's kind of got to be that way, right? Wilmer Flores hits the 2-run home run against Nestor Cortez in the first inning, made it a 4-0 game, and guess what? That ended up being the game-deciding blow that early because the Rockies scored 4. They took a 4-0 lead. Padres would get 3 in the 7th inning. They pulled within 1 on the Ryan O'Hearn 2-run home run, but that was it. And again, that early home run by Flores stood up. Rockies scored 4 runs in a span of 5 batters. Not Rockies, pardon me. Giants scored 4 runs in a span of 5 batters in the first inning. Ramos leadoff home run. Devers went back-to-back with him, and then a few batters later, Flores hit a 2-run home run to make it 4-0, and it stood up. Credit to Robbie Ray, and the Giants stood up. So that's our play of the game here tonight. By the way, that was the 5th time since at least 1900 the Giants have started a game with back-to-back home runs. The other years they've done it, 2015, 1964, 1958, and 1911. And unfortunately here tonight, it was the 5th time here in 2025 as Ramos and Devers went back-to-back to begin the game. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, same time, same place. First pitch tomorrow, 6:40 p.m. Our pregame coverage from inside the Western Metal Building begins at 5:40. Right-hander Kaiwei Tang on the mound for San Francisco. Right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for San Diego. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage tonight, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game coverage there as well. Final totals in this series opener here tonight. For the Giants, 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors. They left on 9. For the Padres, 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They left on 5. Robbie Ray, the winning pitcher, he's 10-6. Nestor Cortez, the losing pitcher, he's 1-2. And the save goes to Randy Rodriguez, his 4th of the season. Time of game, 2 hours and 39 minutes. And the crowd here in San Diego at Petco Park, the crowd was great. Once again, 53rd sellout of the season in this building, 42,730 the attendance here in downtown San Diego. Once again, first pitch tomorrow at 6:40. Our pregame coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our terrific studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from Petco Park. Again, the final score here tonight, the San Francisco Giants 4 and the San Diego Padres 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.